Hey, this is Therese Skelly, and I'm very excited that you are going to be listening to this webinar for how to unlock your visibility. So, are you ready to roll? Let's go. Okay, first one. I think we need to talk about why you're here. And when I say here, that means you're listening and you are interested in unlocking your visibility. How many of you are, how many of you know that you're here to serve in a bigger way? I'm assuming if you're with my group of people, that's absolutely you. And more so, you want to put more of yourself in your business. I have people come to me all the time and say, I'm doing this or I'm known for that, but God, like I've been hiding this part of me and I really want to have it in my business. Or like you want to pivot your business. You're like, I used to sell this or this is who I used to work with, but I kind of want to shift that. So I want to pivot, but I don't really know where to start. And how about you're just tired of trying to figure it all out yourself, right? Because a lot of us, you've had a business for years, maybe you know what to do. So you're here for some help with this part of it. Okay, a little bit about me. I today call myself a business intuitive and mentor. I have been a psychotherapist for 20 plus years, a business coach for 20 plus years. Started out as a marketing strategist. I'm a published author and speaker. I'm a dog and a boy mom. And I now use the word I'm a ninja. I got ninja magic, right? I pick up my little pendulums and I just kind of cut to the bottom of what's in the way. And what that does is it pushes my clients past their limits because people I work with usually are already successful. They understand the marketing, they understand what they need to do, but for whatever reason, they're hitting that upper limit and they're not able to get themselves past that. And that's the magic that I provide. Okay, so obviously this is a recorded version. You're not in the chat, so disregard the instructions here, but I want you to think about it. Okay, so if you could get more visibility, because this is about unlocking it, you could show up more boldly. What would that look like? What would that feel like? Right? You could get the clients you would love because if you're getting the visibility that really is in alignment, really matches you, ooh, you get those like soul clients that are they're just yummy to work with. You also content flows easier, right? If you don't have visibility blocks, if you know what you're doing, way easier to communicate your marketing messages. And you also you'll become more of a trusted expert. You'll be seen as more authentic, you'll be more trusted. So just take a minute. If you had that, what would change? Okay, just answer that for yourself. All right, but we got to start here. There's a huge distinction between being visible and being seen. I want to talk to you about this for a second. There's a lot of people in the internet space. They might have a ton of visibility. So when people think visibility, are you one of these? You think a lot of followers, right? Influencers have a bunch of followers. People with visibility have a bunch of followers, right? It's about numbers and metrics. But have you ever noticed that somebody can be really visible, like they're posting on Instagram or Twitter like 3, 4 times a day, but you don't really have a sense of them, right? You're like, oh, okay, it's Thankful Thursday, and there's that meme, or oh, they're selling something, and there's that meme, or I've been doing this work a long time, and I made the distinction one time, like you can be very visible, and people will tell you be more visible, get out in front of more people, like get your message out, do the videos, do the lives, do the reels, do the blogging and the articles and all the things, get visible. I'm here to talk about, but are you being seen? Because it doesn't matter all the shit that you got on the internet, all the things, if people can't see who you really are, if they're not feeling your heart, if they're not connecting with you, if they're not like seeing possibility working with you, if they can't have a sense of like, what would it feel like to work with her or him? And I'll just give you a story. I'll give you an example of this. Years ago, probably about 10 years ago, my son was in a really bad it was a basketball accident. He was blocking and somebody came up with an elbow and he ended up having like this shattered face. So he needed reconstructive facial surgery. It was really terrifying. And I was in the habit of sending weekly emails and content, newsletters with a good article and some tips and all the things. And I was pretty shattered. It was terrifying. Like, he could have lost his eye and all the things. It was very scary for my family. So instead of, regurgitating an old or repurposing an old article or skipping the newsletter, because I be seen, my brand is transparency, authenticity, real. And so I wrote an article, I wrote a newsletter that I said, I need to ask you for prayers for my son. John got in a really bad accident. He had facial reconstruction surgery. So I can't really send you an article, but I just want to ask you for some prayers to see him healing. 2 days later, I get a request for coaching. And the woman said, when I read that, I knew your values because I'm taking care of my elderly parents. And it demonstrated to me that if you were that kind of a person that could share about your son, that you would relate to me and I want to work with you. She worked with me for 2 years. So that's an example of what are people seeing, and I could say feeling from you, right? So it's not just being visible, it's being seen. So on a scale of 1 to 10 now, what are you? Are you like super high? I'm very transparent. Yes, yes, yes. Or you're kind of like, I don't show much. And there's no judgment, right? Just make an assessment because we got to get you out being seen more. That is where the magic's going to happen. Okay, let's keep going. All right, gotta go here. Okay, so the thing is, let me get this over here. Our unconscious is the problem. And so in this picture, you're seeing an iceberg. And what you notice is 5% of it is visible on the surface. So the way this works is the you that says, yes, I want to grow business. Yes, I want to have the impact and income that I desire. I'm a yes to that. So I'm going to invest money. I'm going to work for it. I'm going to do all the things. And have you ever made that decision and then found yourself either sabotaging, falling short, just not getting it to work? Raise your hands. Everybody's done that because what happens is on the conscious, you literally only have access to 5%. And what that means is 95% of what drives your behavior is unconscious. It's not even yours. It's beyond your control. So that's where I come in, right? So I come in and I show you like, whoa, what's under the surface? And, see in the slide, it says, safety always wins. So what safety always wins is this. So I was working with a woman a number of years ago, very successful. Her name is Lisa. And she was like, okay, I want to have a 7-figure business. And I think at the time she was about at $500,000. She was like really driven. She was absolutely positioned to get this happening, right? And when I work with her, I just said, you're blocked because there's a conflict. We're going to talk about this in the next slide. There's a part of you that says, but if you work this much or make these goals, you're going to suck as a mom to your daughter. There will be consequences to your daughter. So that was an unconscious block that literally said, nope, that business goal, not safe, never mind. When I cleared it, guess what happened? She got her 7-figure business. She's a phenomenal mom. Her daughter's now a teenager and she's grown, but that was an unconscious thing in her. She had no idea. And I'm going to show you what that is on this next slide. It's called a conflicting intention, right? So there's a part of you that wants this, another part of it doesn't. You can hear it like in weight loss, right? God, there's a part of me that wants to get really healthy and fit, but there's another part of me that I still want to eat my brownies, right? There's a part of me that wants to grow my business, but I don't want to work my ass off. I don't want to burn out. Whenever you hear language of there's a part of me, understand that that's going to split the results, right? So these are called conflicting intentions. And it's usually the conscious part of me wants this, but there's an unconscious piece that's going to go, yeah, no. And you're going to hear more about that as we go on. Okay, so if you ever experience doubt, fear, lack, overwhelm, and not my favorite, but the best way of knowing that you're in a conflicting intention is a stop-start pattern. Have you ever done that? Like I will have given people amazing strategy. Like I will literally map the stuff out and just say, okay, there you go. I'll tell you a story in a second here. So I worked with women. Seriously, I mapped the whole thing out, right? Like this was her perfect business. She had all the money. It was in alignment with her. She was so happy. She loved it. And 3 weeks later, actually, she came to a live event for me with me. She hadn't done anything. She literally was like, oh, and she just got all like it's I call it collapse. Like she's like, oh, well, like I don't know, and I could just see her get really small. So what I do, I can just literally pick up my pendulum because I'm an intuitive, and I can be like, oh, in her case, she was carrying her husband's stuff. She was carrying his money belief. She was carrying his thought that like, wow, if she got too big and has had all the money, she could leave him and wouldn't need him. Now, nobody wakes up and says, hark, it's Thursday. Today's the day I'm going to screw up my business. This is the day. Yeah, I'll do it on a Thursday. Nobody does that. But what happens is we go, okay, yes, I want that business strategy. Okay, Therese. And then they're like, oh shit, but what if? And it's all unconscious. That's the crazy part. In this woman's case, it was completely unconscious, right? So sometimes when it's unconscious, because you don't know it, you have to look for like, well, how does it show up? So that's why I gave you that list of fear, doubt. When I say codependent patterns, that could be I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to bother anybody. Oh, everybody already knows this. I hate to ask. I was just on a call with an author. I was talking to her about expanding her visibility and writing this chapter. And she said, everybody would think I was dramatic, right? And she took on the family messages again, right? And so when you make somebody's needs more important or start sacrificing yourself, it's your unconscious pushing you back down. Got it? Okay, let's keep going. All right, so as we go, the next few slides, what I want you to do is, you might want to pick up your cell phone and take a picture of the screen, or actually you can just pause. You can pause the webinar you're watching here and just start writing, because I'm going to ask some questions. The focus of this webinar is to basically say, here's some places that you're being blocked. I think I can show you. I'm going to ask you questions and I'll give you stories and examples of where you might be being blocked. And these are places that people aren't usually thinking about these things, right? And so it was really fun when I did this live to have a group conversation, and I got to do a lot of live coaching and because one person says something, it's like, yeah, oh my gosh, I relate. I have the same thing. So what I'm going to offer you is, if you're interested in attending a live Q&A around this topic, message me. Okay, if we get a handful of people, I'll put a live Q&A together, and then that way, it's seriously, it's a better experience when you get some live Q&A. Okay, you ready? Here we go. So I want you to. Here's the thing. None of this is logical. That's what you have to get. There's nothing here that, like I said, you don't wake up consciously and say, it's Thursday. This is the best day to screw things up. That's the day. Yeah, Thursdays are good. That works. Nobody does that consciously. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. Now I'm going to explain something to you. Your brain is this little thing, like a 3-pound little blob of gray matter in your head. Don't think. Don't like roll your eyes and, well, let me think about what that is. Obviously, you can put some thought into it. It's better. Your body houses the mind, the unconscious, the wisdom. It's not above your neck. Obviously, your smarts are, your intelligence, the things in this dimension that but your body houses the wisdom. So what I say is, when you ask these questions, ask it of your body and listen for the first response. And I don't want you to say, oh, that's crazy, that's not true. Shh, don't censor it. Don't judge it. Don't try to fight with it, right? So for example, how does my shining affect others? You might not have anything. You might be like, everybody would think it's great. The second question is, who would be threatened by me getting more visible? I'll give you another example. There was a woman I coached years ago, and she kept not making it work. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes people rock it, and sometimes there's like setbacks. And one day I said, what's a potential risk if you get really out there and you start building your business and making more money? And I said, don't answer from your head, just first thing. And she said, oh, if I had more money, oh God, I could think about leaving my husband, because it's a question I haven't wanted to deal with because I don't have the money to leave. You see that? So if the payoff was, if I get more visible and make more money, then the marriage that I've been trying to hide back here, oh crap, then I'd have an option. So what I did is I pulled it apart. Okay, here's a marriage you might want to have a different conversation in, and here's a business. They're not tied to each other, right? So the positive benefit of her not getting her business growing was that she got to stay. The potentially negative benefit of her getting her business growing was that she might leave. Again, all unconscious. So is there anybody that would be threatened if you got more visible? Is there anybody that you're not allowed to outshine? Another client of mine, her family story was, well, you're the pretty one. Your sister's the smart one. So now suddenly the pretty one, do you think she's got permission to rock the business? She's doing okay now, but there were some emotional blocks she had to get through because she wasn't given the permission, because she would have threatened the more smart one. Okay, who would I feel I was disrespecting if I made it big? Again, maybe you got nothing on this. Not everybody's going to have a charge on all these. These are just questions designed to see if something can like trigger, like, oh my gosh, oof. I used to work with men that would say, oh crap, it's my dad. Like, I can't make more money than my father. Right? Okay. Who am I afraid I will become? So I'll share a story with you. Years ago, I worked in a coaching company when I very first started. And it was in the beginning a really wonderful mentoring experience. I learned so much. Brand new, learned so much. And then the person whose business I worked in started changing. And they suddenly went from being a really person of high integrity to being a person that was lying. Instead of being, 6, 7 figure business coach, actually they were bankrupt and they had to let all their employees go, but they were lying. And their practices got really bad and clients got really, really hurt. It was a horrible experience, a horrible time to be, because I'm all about integrity and transparency, and I even confront this person like, you can't say you're this, and they were like, what, am I supposed to change my branding? And I was like, wow. So here's what happened to me. Unconsciously, I took this in. This is called being imprinted. I don't remember ever consciously saying, I don't want to be like fill in the blank. But what happens is when we have traumatic events or when we're exposed to things, it gets imprinted. I was an old woman, right? I was in my, I don't know, 50s or something at the time. And not that that's old. Come on, what am I saying? But I wasn't a 2-year-old, right? And I think 3 years ago, I was at a business event and we were doing a piece about our money story and our money blocks. And I'm like, my partner in this asked me the questions, and I came up and I'm like, oh my freaking God, I don't want to be like that person. I made the decision, if I make money, I will become like that person. And their business was horrible. And so I spent a whole lot of years trying to be not like that person, thus not making the money I could and should make. Does that make sense? And that was an unconscious thing. And yet it affected me profoundly. And so the final question is, what relationships would change for you? A lot of women have this. If I make more money, my husband will be threatened. My husband will leave me. My husband will not feel needed. And so very often it's like, go ask your husband. Seriously, go ask him. Hold on a second. Every time I've had a partnership situation, the woman asks the husband and they're like, yeah, no, that'd be great. rocket, make all the money, right? And so it's like the little voices in our head that are lying to us. So the work I do is you make the unconscious conscious. When you have awareness, you have a choice, right? So if you have the like, yeah, wow, what would change is if I got really big, I'm afraid that all my friends would think I was, arrogant or money hungry and they would leave me. Ask them, hey, Jane, if I'm a 7-figure business owner, are you still going to love me? Like, there's a little part of me that's afraid things are going to change. Lean into that, right? When you have awareness, you have choice. And then you can say, is that true or not? Okay. All right. You might be carrying others' emotions. I deal with this every single day. I'll tell you a story. I have permission to tell this story. So a client I was working on in a webinar, and I had some Q&A. And she said, I'm having visibility issues. And I didn't know this person at the time. So I didn't know her, and I pick up my pendulum because that's what I do, and I'm guided, and I say, what was going on with your mom? And she said, my mom, before my birth or after my birth. I said, no, before your birth, so when your mom was younger. And she said, oh God, my mom lived in a war zone, and there were bullets flying and actually came in and took her brother. So my mom learned it wasn't safe to be seen. And I'm like, holy shit. Since I cleared her, you should see this woman. She had no idea. She had paid for all the coaching. She's a really hard worker, but she just kept hitting this wall. That's an example of carrying others' emotions. If there's family history of trauma in childhood and/or, for example, in that case, it was carried. That wasn't her history. There's a thing called epigenetics that, now science knows we don't just get like, oh, you got your grandma's eyes or you get the skin tone no, you get the trauma. You get all the experiences that come through in the DNA. So very often, when somebody's stuck, I'll say, what, and I can ascertain where through my process. I can say, whoa, what was going on with your father? I'm sorry, your father's mother. What was happening to her? And we can unlock it. So you can ask yourself, if I'm not able to be fully, powerfully, 100% visible, who is that? So the question is it mine? Yes or no? Just ask your body. Is it somebody else's? Yes or no? Ask your body. And you really don't even just start doing this work. I'm just trying to give you clues to where to start. Sometimes you just don't have enough experience, right? I remember when I was brand new, I got nothing to talk about. I don't know what to say, right? You can't be visible because you don't know what the hell you're doing or you don't know what to write. There's ways around that. You can always borrow credibility. You can take, take from others in the industry. There's ways around it, but it's not like an unconscious hidden thing. It just is a fact. When you've only had 5 clients, you don't know about visibility and/or what your message is. So some of that is just experience. I want to tell you though about success dysmorphic identity. Now I have to tell you, this is my word, so don't Google it because it's my word, right? I just made it up. I used to be a therapist. And have you heard of body dysmorphic disorder? And I don't like to call disorders, but for our purposes, flow with me here. So body dysmorphia is, let's say, actually it's happened to me. I was working with a woman back in the day when I used to do drug treatment, right? I was working in a treatment center, and there was this beautiful woman. It was like 160, 200 pounds, beautiful. And then she got sober and just lost all the weight. And so I said, oh my gosh, Laura, how does this feel? Like look at you now. And she said, oh no, the only way I know I lose weight is I've lost weight is if I look at the label. Because in my brain, I still see the fat girl in the mirror. So for me, success identity dysmorphia is you're here, you're rocking it, you are solid, and your sense of yourself has not caught up. That's why a great mentor is like, you notice that you could do that this time. Back in the day when you first started, you didn't have access to that. Do you see how you responded differently? That's what I do. I catch my clients' identity up to where they actually are. So I want you to ask yourself, is there a gap? Is there a part of me that still hasn't really gotten oh, wait, damn, I'm kind of farther along than I realized. Ha, that's a huge one. That is a huge one. So ask yourself now, like, where am I? What am I, I got to get this right. I'm struggling with there we go. There we go. Okay, hold on a second. Get back here. I'm messing up the screen share here. 1 second, please. Okay, so for you, where are you? Are you rocking it with like, oh my gosh, I totally got this? Or are you like, God, I don't know. Some of these make sense, but I don't have it all down. So I just want to invite you, if you are interested in getting some support. Let me just show you this really fast. I don't have the view right, but that's okay. Here, let me get that right. Okay. Okay. One more support. Sorry. So this is me being a goofball with technology, but we're all right. Here we go. So what I know I can do for you is I can help you make more money. Absolutely. By unblocking what's in the way. You can like embody that next level you, because in living in you, there literally is a next level. There's a next level. You might not be able to access it though, right? And I get you into action. So I have multiple ways of working together. Everything I create is customizable. So if you're interested in a short-term package, a year-long journey, a mastermind group, just reach out, thereseskelly.com/let's connect. Next steps, we will book a call and we'll just talk about what working together is like. Okay. Okay. Coming to the end. All right. I want you to answer these questions again, not from your brain, from your body. This is kind of related to the money piece, because if we unblock your visibility, what's going to happen is you're going to have more money, right? So if I were to make a lot of money, I'd feel guilty for, and maybe there's nothing. Perfect. But maybe there's something. And what I want you to do is just note that and then kind of do the inquiry. Is it mine? Is it true? Where did it come from? That kind of stuff. Who would be affected if I were to stop struggling financially, right? Like in the case of my client with the husband, who she's like, oh my God, if I didn't have the financial struggles, then I might want to leave my husband. That's an example, right? The person who would be most upset if I had lots of money. Now, again, none of this is logical. No, who in the world should be upset because you had money? But what if you have an ex that thinks you're a piece of shit, basically? What if you have an old boyfriend that just wishes you ill? Like, what if there's a guru that said you're never going to make it because you didn't want it bad enough, right? Which I hope that doesn't happen. Just ask yourself, is there any energy of anybody in here that would be affecting me here? And hopefully not, but if there is, address them. Okay, so there's guilt, greed, and then the next one we could talk about. Okay, so how would money change me if I had a lot of it? This is I could do a whole webinar on money blocks and money wounds, but seriously, what are the unconscious things? I told you the story of, if I make a lot of money, I'll turn out like X, and then I'll just be a horrible person who's lying in business. Okay, therefore, I better not make that much money. It was totally unconscious, right? Some people have, a deep sense of carried energy from their families. I was raised, I one time said to my mom, like, oh my gosh, Wayne Dyer. Oh my, I love watching Wayne Dyer. And she's like, oh, he just makes so much goddamn money. And I'm like, ooh, and he does a lot of good and he does a lot of teaching. That was what I was raised with, right? Like filthy rich, bad, right? So you have to figure out, where in the world did this stuff come from? So would money change you? Now, obviously, we're all going to say, no, of course I would be better. No, but ask your body, is there any part in me that believes or has bought into the idea that money would change me? Who do you fear you turn into? And what's the worst thing that could happen if you become wealthy? Worst thing. What would that be? Would you be greedy? Would you walk over people? Would you, I don't know, leave marriages? Get out of the agreements you're in now? Answer these questions, because remember, you got to service all this stuff. And last one is, it's guilt, greed, or God. That's often where visibility issues and money issues are hiding. So are there any messages from your childhood about visibility? Like I'm Irish and I didn't understand it for years. My grandma used to say, don't be putting on airs. What the heck is putting on airs? Putting on airs is talking about yourself, elevating yourself. So try marketing. Try having a business where you literally have to say, yeah, I'm kind of shit. Like I'm the bomb. Like I got some game. You're really gonna hire me. But you're raised with don't be putting on airs. There's a thing called the tall poppy syndrome. In Europe, like the tallest poppy gets chopped, right? Did you have a childhood or religious story? Did you have a cultural, I have my boyfriend was raised in North Dakota and talked to his mom. They're very much, you just have to be humble. Okay, you can't be humble in market. I mean, you can market humbly, by maybe you can market authentically, but you can't like, I'm sorry for asking, I'm sorry for being here. So this is a really good inquiry to be in. How do I view people with wealth? Let's get real. And with wealth, I'm also going to say platform, voice, access. Now, sometimes, let's just face it. Do you really think the Kardashians are making the world a better place? Okay, I maybe got some ish with these influencers that are like, they're promoting, toxic body images, but okay, yeah. But the good people like Oprah, the people that use their visibility for the good, the people that are like, that you don't want to go, oh, I don't want to be a Kardashian. Nobody wants to be a Kardashian. Well, maybe some of you want to be a Kardashian. I don't. So, how do you view people with wealth and great visibility? And the last one is if I made a lot of money, my spirituality would what? What would happen in your spirituality? That's the thing, right? Okay. How to be seen more. Now, if you're checking the previous slide, we don't have time in this call to do a clearing. If you come on the live Q&A, just so seriously, if you're liking this, just reach out and go, oh my God, I would love to come on a live call to talk about these things. And I can go deeper with you. We can do clearings. We can uncover to see if you have any of these. Reach out. Okay. All right. Here's what you do. Decide. Everything starts with a decision. If you just say, that's it, I'm going to be more visible. And the reason it matters is, see, if we can connect with the soul of the why, connect with the purposefulness, connect with the mission, most people are willing to be a little uncomfortable for their mission. But if it's just like, it's just for Therese to get more money, like, Therese is tired. Therese wants to sleep late. But if it's for Therese to make the huge difference and come here and be the person on the planet, God damn it, I'm getting out of bed for that one, right? So decide, yes, I'm going to be seen more. I want you to be willing to push through any uncomfortableness. And because it's going to be uncomfortable, you're going to feel very vulnerable. You're going to feel stretched. You're going to feel like, what are they going to think? And you got to do it. That's where you commit to taking new actions. New actions. You don't have to like rip your website down and tell people you're in the middle of a divorce and blah, right? But it's like literally like, what is on my heart to share? I told you the story of when John got in the accident. That was on my heart. That wasn't okay. On a Tuesday, I must market a vulnerable story. Yeah, it wasn't a strategy. It was just, I just want to share more. I want to be seen. So literally ask in the morning, whatever you talk to or pray to or get guidance from, what wants to be shared today? And maybe it's a client story. And maybe it's that you had to put your cat to sleep. Or maybe that you had the most magnificent vacation, right? Okay, get accountability. Keep you moving forward because I swear this stuff is hard. This is a stuff that this is slippery, right? It's not like, okay, we're gonna do 3 new videos a day and you're gonna this is, if you're not in an accountability container, it's very easier on your own to like deprioritize it or not put yourself fully into it, right? So the support helps. I have a mastermind group that is starting soon, and that's what that's about, right? The women will come and they'll go, I knew I was going to talk to you, ladies, so I had to get stuff done because I knew you would be asking, right? Are you in a supportive container? And the second one is just take the small steps. That's what really matters. Okay, before we wrap up, let's get you to that next level. Okay, I want you to imagine feeling on purpose and being unstoppable, which will lead to more income and impact. Working with me, you get faster results, much faster. And I don't know about you, I hate blueprints and formulas because everybody's individual. Everybody has their own values, their energy, their priorities. I don't want somebody that's like, yeah, here's my 7-figure system. Go in, you be a little cog in the machine. Oh, hate that. I want somebody that says, what matters to you? What speed do you want that in? How much can you put to that? How willing are you to dive? Okay, only 30%. Okay, cool. We'll work with that. I don't want somebody making you wrong because you're not doing it their speed. Maybe you've got little kids, or maybe your health is such that you don't want to work 80 hours a week. I customize everything. That matters to me. Freedom is a huge value of mine. And the thing is, you don't have to do it again. Again, hello. You don't have to do it alone. You don't have to do this work alone. Because I don't think you can do this work alone. This visibility, this inner game stuff, you kind of can't do it alone, right? So if you are interested in hearing about what working together would be like, just head to thereseskelly.com/let's connect. And finally, loves, this has been delightful to be with you. And I want to have a live Q&A with you. So if you have registered, if you just watch the video, that's all I request. Shoot me a message and say, yeah, absolutely, I want to be on a live Q&A. And I'll put 1 or 2 calls together and we'll make that happen. Okay? Peace and blessings. Thank you for watching. Bye now.